Hey everyone, how you doing? I'm back with another video in our Mastering the Basics series. And so the last several videos we were talking a lot about physical activity, and this week we're moving on to our last subject in the Mastering the Basics series, and that is stress. So the next few videos will be on the topic of stress, and um, I saved this one for last because I think it deserves a lot of attention and it often doesn't get a lot of attention when we talk about when people think about their overall health and wellness, especially when it comes to things like mastering the basics. But I feel like in the world that we live today, stress um, is just as big of a problem as people's nutrition, their physical activity, and how those play into into in their sleep, and how those all play into their health and wellness. But stress doesn't get a lot of attention because there's no pill, supplement, program, or anything that can cure stress. Um, can't, you know, I can't even give you a lifestyle practice that's guaranteed to eliminate all the stress in your life, right? As much as I am in favor of lifestyle enhancements in lifestyle to improve health and wellness, there isn't something I can tell you that you can do, whether it's meditation or whether it's going for walks or whether it's going reading a book or going in the sauna, or there's nothing as simple or fancy or anything out there that I can tell you that's going to eliminate all the stress in your life. Stress is a constant thing. It's always here. It's ever present, and there will be times of your life where stress is very low, and there'll be other times in your life where stress is very high. And the only thing you can really do um, during the times where stress is really high to address the problems is to learn how to best mitigate that stress. What can you do with the other lifestyle practices that you have in place? And what can you change about your current lifestyle that allows you to balance that stress on your body, right? So it's very helpful to think about stress as fitting into what we call like a bucket, right? Just a, picture a bucket, right? Um, there's all kinds of stress that fills that bucket, that goes into that bucket. And once that bucket starts to overflow, bad things can start to happen. And when that bucket overflows constantly, then we're really starting to talk about bad things, right? Stress has been tied to a number of chronic health conditions, negative health outcomes, things that you're trying to improve about yourself, your weight, your body composition, the way you build muscle, your sleep is all impacted by stress and too much of it. So we want to manage the level of stress in that bucket. And so lots of things can provide stress in your life, right? You might think of the obvious ones like, oh, I had a really stressful day at work, or the kids are driving me up a wall, or um, the person that was in front of me on the highway today slammed on his brakes and we almost got into a car accident. Like these types of things are all very common things where like, oh, I'm super stressed about this, right? Or you might have, I think financial stress is a very common one for everyone. These are all forms of stress. But then we have other things in our lives that we're trying to do, right? That we can view as a good thing, but also contribute to this bucket of stress, right? Things like exercise. Exercise is a stress. It falls into that bucket, right? So if everything in your life is is adding to that bucket and it's almost to the top, and then you decide that you want to go train for a half marathon that you haven't done before, that might overflow your bucket, and that might be a bad thing, right? So there are stresses that are considered good for us, like exercise. Diet is another one. The way you are eating can be a stress or not be a stress on your body. Um, the amount or lack of sleep that you're getting can be a stress on your body. The lack of time outside can be a stress of your body, or the amount of time you're outside can alleviate stress, right? So there are good stressors and then there are bad stressors, but there are always stressors that we just can't do anything about. So there's going to be a base level of stress in our lives, right? I can't control whether my kids wake up cranky in the morning and don't want to get ready for school, right? I can't control that. As much as I'd love to, that's going to be a stress in my life I can't control. I can't control that I have a work deadline approaching and that I need to get this presentation ready. Even if I do my best, there's probably going to be stress involved in doing that, right? My best prepare for that. There's still some stress involved. I can't control, what people outside of my sphere of influence are doing, right? I can't control what politicians do. I can't control what other people decide to say to me or think or have opinions about, but they still can cause stress in my life. And so, but then there are things I can control. I can control what I'm eating. I can control the amount of exercise I'm doing. I can control whether I get up in the morning and do my meditation practice. I can control whether I take a break during the middle of a stressful day at work and go for a walk. Like these are all things that are in my control. And so that can help balance out stress or alleviate stress in that bucket, right? And so we never want to strive for getting um, no stress because it's impossible, right? Like I just said, there are things that are out of my control that are always going to put stress on me, right? And there's different things for different people in different phases of their lives. So, identify your things that are just out of your control. There's nothing you can do about it that are going to cause you stress. And then but then there are things that we can do that are going to both lessen that stress load. And there are things that we also should consider that are good stressors in our life that might in a temporary situation might cause us a little bit more stress, but ultimately have a better impact, right? So there are good stresses and there are bad stresses. All the stress go into this bucket. If the level of this bucket is too high, we need to basically do something about that. So first thing to do is to look at the stresses that you have control over and can you cut them out, right? Maybe that means not going to the gym that day. It might mean that, right? Because that is a stressor that's in your control. And if your bucket's ready to overflow, going to work out that day might be something you don't do, you skip. And so we have to then change that stress balance by altering the things that we can control, right? The goal is to never get to that bucket where it's so high that we need to start cutting what we consider healthy stressors out of our lives, but sometimes that's going to happen. So what we're going to talk about in the next several videos is how to make sure that do everything we can so that bucket stays at a nice solid level of stress that's not too high so that we can then incorporate the healthier things into our lives that we want to that might add more stress to our lives, right? So that we can stick to our diet, so that we can exercise, so that we can spend time with the ones that we love, all that stuff, right? All those good stressors that are going to help us, right? So basically, the main takeaway, the summary for this video is that stress is inevitable. We all are going to have a base level of stress. We all need some level of stress to evolve, to transform, to move forward in our lives. Stress can be a good thing, but we need to make sure that that level of stress does not get too high. And when it starts to get too high, then we need to look at the things that we can are within our control that we can remove from our lives, stressors that we can remove from our lives. And sometimes that might mean removing some of the good stressors from our lives just as a temporary relief so that we can take that level down to a manageable level and then reevaluate and move forward and manage that stress a little bit better next time. So if you're interested in hearing more about stress and how to mitigate that stress and continue to master the basics around your health and wellness, please, if you haven't done so already, please join my newsletter. You can click that QR code right there, scan that QR code in the top of the video. That will bring you to the page on my website to sign up for my newsletter. Just enter your email address, click the sign up button, and you'll be registered for the newsletter. And that's the best way to keep up with all the videos that are going to be coming out, as well as all the other content that I put out on a weekly basis for free to help you reach your goals. If you do need help in a more one-on-one setting, please don't hesitate to reach out for some one-on-one coaching. I do have one spot open for that. Again, if you go to my website, rjbhealth.coach, click on the schedule a discovery call button, and you can fill out that form, and then I will get back to you with an email. We can figure out a time to chat a little bit more about coaching. With that, I hope everyone has a great week, and I'll talk to you all soon.